everyone. Let me just get the music a little lower and maybe just like this. Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Majid, and today I'm starting this series slash streams of reacting to My Hero Academia fanfics because this is my way for coping that it's finally over. So yeah, that's going this is going to be I'm hoping to make this every week. So every Tuesday at this hour, uh, hopefully I'll be doing this. So how am I going to do this? Easy enough. I have this this list of recommended fanfics, and there are other ones that I already read, but I read them like 3 or 4 years ago. And hold up, I think I'm missing myself. Hold on. Um, mm, 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 mm. There we go. I think it's going to load any minute. There we go. So yeah, what I was saying, yeah, there are fanfics here. That some of them are finished, some of them are not finished, and they are still ongoing. But that's the fun part of this. And we're going to decide which, in what order we're going to start this, and we're doing that with a spinning wheel. So I already have this listed in to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and we're going to the spinning wheel. Here it is. So the order that it's going to, how you say, we're going to get the order from here. So let's see which is going to be the first fanfic that I'm going to be reading. This is going to be like an audio reaction. X, I don't know how to say this. Letter E. So we got Bloodthirst. Oh yeah, disclaimer. All of these are X-rated because yes, I'm coping. I'm still coping, okay? So we're going to go. It's going to be the first one. We're going to start. Let's see the second one. Letter H. Okay. As you can see, there are fake fanfics from Wattpad mostly, but recently they recommended me Qtef. So changing history is going to be the second one. Let's, yep. And the third one, I'm planning on doing this like, as I said, every week, but maybe when I'm at the middle of the story, let's see. At the middle of the story, I'm going to change fix, fanfics. So that's going to be like the order of things. Heartbreaker, okay. I'm going to put all the information and the links to the fanfics on the description so you can read it at your own speed, and if you want to support the original creators, that I highly recommend to do it. Letter D, Elysian. Okay. I'm really curious because, as I said, I've read these fanfics like, well, not all of them, but some of them uh, I kinda remember, but not all the platforms. Oh wait, this is C. What was the no? Wait, no, letter C is already. Huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's it's 11 a.m. I'm still waking up. Okay, it's the fifth one. It's going to be the letter F. The future skipper. Okay. Number five, we're going to. Okay. We're the last three ones. So, who's gonna be? Who's gonna be? Who's gonna be is the letter B. Okay, so letter B, unstoppable fire. It's going to six. And the final decision is going to be who's going to be the last one, who's going to be the not last one. Oh my gosh, letter G. Okay, so we got letter G, Villains Masquerade as a 7, and Sweet Nothings, it's going to be an 8. Okay, so this is going to be the order of how I'm going to be reacting to this. As like, I'm planning, I think I already said this, but like, I'm planning to do this like every week, hopefully, if the school doesn't kill me. But I'm planning to go, like, we're going to start with blood Bloodthirst, Vampire Reader. Oh my gosh, okay. So it's going to be the vampire one, and we're going to. I'm planning to go to maybe get the middle of the chapters, and then we're going to go to the second one again in the middle. Well, it depends how many chapters there are, because like I know some of them are finished, some of them are not. We're going to go. So first one, Bloodthirst from Wattpad. Bloodthirst, my Boku no Hero Academia, ex Vampire Reader by ex Karuga Yatox. I'm going to be leaving this on the description when I finish this stream. So let's read. As punishment for your sins, you, a young a young vampire, are banished. Not just from your home, but to a different world entirely. Now you find yourself in a foreign place where quirks and heroes are the norm. In addition to coming to terms with your new life, you must also face your greatest challenge. Controller your massive thirst of blood. Okay. I think I this I think I read this one. It's ongoing. First published on 2023. I remember I think first the first chapters maybe, but I don't know if it continued after I didn't. Oh look, I think I read that one. So we have okay. 45 chapters. I'm going to stop at 23. Okay, when we finish 23, we will continue with the second one from Changing History. All of this during how I don't know how long it will take me to finish this. So let's get going. Let me. I don't know if okay. Just for maybe this time, I'm going to leave the music a little turn. Well, I don't know if it's already like here in the stream, but I will suppose. And we'll be reading with. Oh my gosh, where did it go? Where did it go? Hold on. Here it is. So no, I lost it. Hold it. Eh, 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 eh. Okay, maybe you can hear it, or maybe not. I'll never, I'll never know. So, let me just get this one there. Okay, prologue: the sin of bloodthirst. What am I doing? The intoxicating scent of blood, the feel of it being smeared across your cheeks, some of it even dripping down your chin. And best of all, the taste. On the night you nearly killed someone, that was all you could focus on. Maybe it's. I think the music is a little too high and maybe too happy for for what's happening right now. Hold it. Oh no, bad choice of music. Oh well, what are we going to do about it? Right, this is all of them are reader. I forgot about this. So I like to read this type of fanfics, but the name I put on them are normally combinations of other fanfics. So the name we're going to go through all of this list is going to be I don't know how to write it. Hold. Name is going to be Athena because I'm an epic fan. And we're going to get the last name. It's going to be King. Athena King. Wait, why am I not there? That's going to be the name of our character through all of this. Why? Because I don't. Why not? That's the question. Why not? So I'm going to start again. Prologue. The scene of Bloodthirst. The intoxicating scent of blood. The feel of it being smeared across your cheeks. Some of it even dripping down to your chin. And best of all, the taste. On the night you nearly killed someone, that was all you could focus on. Athena, please. In the darkness, a voice quietly choked out those words. It was a desperate cry, weak and hoarse. They'd been calling out to you like this for several minutes on end, but you were too entranced to take note for it. You just kept on drinking from their neck, relishing in the sweet flavor that enveloped your throat and tongue. If your parents hadn't intervened when they had, you would have become a murderer. What in the world are you doing? Stop it right now! Before you could make sense of what was happening, you were being pulled away from your prey. All you could do was thrash about furiously. In your present state, you were no better than a feral animal. All logic and reason have left your mind a long time ago. What what remained was nothing but hunger and selfish desire. It wasn't until someone slapped you across the face. No, they slapped. It wasn't until someone slapped you across the face, hard, that you finally came back to your senses. At first, everything was fuzzy, but eventually the images stopped dancing in front of your eyes, and you were able to take in the scene. A friend of yours, a rather close friend as a matter of fact, was lying helplessly on the ground, blood staining from the length of their neck. A good deal of it had been soaked into the front of their shirt. They weren't moving either. You could barely even tell that they were breathing. What with how softly their chest was moving up and down. Eyes wide, you slowly patted on the side of your face, fingers coming back, coated in crimson. Their blood, and it was all over you. So much blood. It was too much. You did this? You took this much blood from them? Wait! You started, but it was too late to bother making excuses for what you've done. Your friend was lifted up by someone and taken out of the room in a hurry, no doubt to receive immediate treatment. Their body looked limp in their arms of the person carrying them. If you hadn't known better, you might thought they were already a corpse, and you had no one but yourself to blame for it. Oh my gosh. No. You foolish girl! It was your mother, the same person who slapped you in order to bring you back to reality. She grabbed hold of your shoulders, teeth visibly grit from anger. Do you have any idea what you've done? How could you possibly lose control and do that to your own friend? You nearly killed them! They might die because of you. You blinked, tears slowly slipping down your cheeks. I I didn't mean to. No, there's no excuse. I've told you time and time again not to get carried away, not to let your thirst for blood cloud your reason. What am I meant to say that child's family? No, wait, what? What am I meant to say to that child's family? They've been devoted retainers of ours for countless generations. You've single-handedly destroyed the trust that we worked so hard to build up. No, it's not my fault. she she clenched her fist, looking as thought she wanted to hit you again. But unlike you, she was able to control herself. Then she stood up, expression devoid of any emotion. This was the last straw, she said coldly. You never learn, Athena. Us vampires are more powerful than we even realize. You cannot simply take what you want whenever you want it. There are limits to your greed and gluttony. As your mother, I cannot continue to excuse such irresponsible behavior. So, what are you trying to say? You gasped. It was all too much to process at once. It hadn't even really sunk in that you nearly killed your friend. You still couldn't believe that you were capable of such a thing. Disclaimer. Your mother turned away from you. Enough is enough. You haven't corrected your mistakes after all this time. I've given up on trying to get through you. As for the severity of your crimes, you will be punished accordingly. She left without explaining any further. Still shocked beyond relief, your entire body sagged. Once again, you touched the sides of your face, marveling at how much blood was staining your skin. It wasn't normal for a human to lose this much blood. It wasn't normal for anyone to lose this much blood. Your mother was right. What you've done was disgusting and inexcusable. Whatever the punishment was, you wholly deserve it, and you would accept it without protest. Ah, no. At least that was what you that's what you thought. Oh no. Banishment? Oh my gosh, no. Banishment. Oh right, I remember now. Right, we already read it on the description, but anyways. Banishment? You cried out panic. I understand I committed a grave mistake, but surely that's taking it too far. You stood in front of your entire family. The king and queen, your mother and father, were seated at the forefront, staring down at you with remorseless eyes. Everyone else has gathered too. Your many siblings, your uncles and aunts, your cousins, even your grandparents, who were normally nowhere to be found, have made an appearance for your judgment day. It has already been decided, your father glowered. No one else in this family loses control of themselves the way you do. Time and time again, you allowed your craving for blood to render you blind to the suffering of others. As the rulers of this kingdom, we cannot allow such conduct to go unchecked, even if you are our own kin. Oh my goodness. You could feel your entire body shaking. But banishment? Just what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to even go? I'll take any other punishment, just not this. I'm afraid, please. Mother, father, everyone. Don't get rid of me. Don't make me be on my own. It isn't a permanent solution, your mother sighed. But for a while, this much is necessary. We cannot continue to be soft with you. You'll learn the consequences for your actions the hard way. Once you matured and learned to act in manner in manner in a manner I don't know how to read, sorry. Once you mature and learn to act in a manner befitting your position, you may return. Oh no. Wait, hold on. Someone is. I got a message. Sorry. Mm, 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 mm. It was a meme. We shall continue. Where was I? Right. Once you mature and learn to act in a manner befitting your position, you may return. But there's no room for arguing. We've already made up our minds. Oh my gosh. Tears continue to well up in your eyes. Of course, you understood the weight of a life and how close you come to nearly extinguish it. But you still couldn't help but to be afraid. You were only 14 years old. To be cast away like this, left to fend all yourself, it wasn't such an easy thing to stomach. So, this was it then. This was the last time you'd see your family, for God knows how long, until they somehow decided you were worthy of returning home. While you wiped your eyes and kept from sobbing outright, a few clo- cloaked figures stepped forward. You didn't recognize any of them. These people weren't from your family. In that case, who were they? Mages. Wait, is this makes or mages? Wizards. Like, I don't know. Wizards. Your mother answered calmly, having all but read your mind. We brought them here in order to carry out your punishment. Why would you need mage to do something like that? No sooner had you asked the question, you felt a horrible sense of dread, even worse than you experienced thus far. The mage made a circle around you and ignored your pleading expression, opting instead to pull out some crystals from their cloaks and extend them towards you. Mother? Father? You trembled. What's what's happening? Not just your parents, but all of your family members looked solemn. They clearly knew what was about to come next. It's a fairly complicated spell, your mother eventually said. A large amount of magic is needed to transport someone to a different world. Wait, what? A different world? You understood now what the horrible sense of dread was. You weren't just being banished from your home. You were being banished from the only world you've ever known. Please! You cried out, trying to rush forward as a last-ditch effort. It didn't work though. The magic threw you in place, making your entire body feel as though it had turned to lead. You couldn't move. You could only squeeze your head as the gravity above you more than doubled, forcing you flat to the ground. The last thing you saw was the grave look your parents gave you. Remember, Athena. Remember this feeling and never take life for granted ever again. Light surged before your eyes. It was a foreign, disorienting feeling, and the scream you let out died in the back of your throat. It felt like everything was happening in the span of an inhale, but somehow painful slowly as well. Whatever the case, you were helpless to do a damn thing about it. After that was either a second or a whole eternity, you finally came to. Miss? Hey, miss, what's the matter with you? You peeled your eyes open, letting out a soft groan. Some middle-aged man was hovering over your fallen frame, lightly poking you on the shoulder every, every few seconds. Based on his expression, he was concerned, bewildered, or some combination of the two. And he wasn't the only one. You quickly realized you were surrounded by a group of people, all of whom were staring down at you in invisible confusion. Apparently, you were still lying flat on the ground, but in the middle of what looked to be some sort of road. Not only that, but there were strange contractions all around you. Machines with four wheels that were traveling along the road, although most of them had stopped because you were dead in the middle of it. Oh no, the cars! Not the cars! Wearily, you pulled yourself to your feet. The group of people kept on pestering you and asking if you were alright, but you ignored them and breezed past. You needed to get your head on straight. but a quick look at your surroundings was really all you need to confirm your worst fears. This definitely wasn't the world you were used to. Your own family had just kicked you out with no regard for your well being. Although you suppose that was the price to pay for the sins you committed. Crying about it more wouldn't accomplish anything. You had no time to wallow in self pity either. Now then, what the fuck were you supposed to do next? Oh my gosh. Oh, let me drink some water. Oh god. Yeah, memories are coming back from this. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think you are not hearing it, but like I was hearing a lo-fi music right now, and it was the opposite of the vibe. And it was so funny for me. I think the next time I'm going to do this is going to be without music. Or maybe not. Or who knows? Life is like a piñata. We shall continue to the next episode 1. Okay, maybe I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to take the music off. Sorry, it's just so distracting. I was trying to cope, but I'm not coping well. Oh, okay. We're banished from our world. That's going to be an interesting thing. It's going to be like my series from if I was in the My Hero Academia. Anyways, chapter 1, New World, New Beginnings. Oh my gosh. I have no idea what's going on. That's a sentence that can apply to every moment in my life so far. Sorry. I have no idea what's going on. Not that it came as much of a. Yeah, I don't know how to rate again. Not that it came as much as a surprise, but a different world really was, well, different. You could hardly make sense of what you were seeing. It was so much more heavily populated than you were used to. Everywhere you looked, people were scurry about left and right. There were crowds upon crowds of them, and you could tell, based on their scent, that all of them were humans. At least, back from where you, sorry, back where you were from, humans were considered a lesser species, not in terms of value. All, all lives were meant to be valued equally, but in terms of their strength, compared to vampires, orcs, elves, so on and so forth, humans were basically humans were much less physically capable. That's why most of oh my gosh, my throat. That was that was why most lands were governed by higher powers, such as your home kingdom, which was ruled by vampires. The strong were meant to protect the weak, so long as there was no abuse of power. The weaker species were content to know that they were being looked out for. In return for being protected, some of their senior forces, the humans, would exchange same amounts of their blood in order to sustain the vampires. It was a fair arrangement after all. If they truly wanted to, vampires could take more blood and that they needed by simple force. But there was an unspoken agreement that existed between both parties. Needless to say, you violated the agreement, hence your banishment. Oh my gosh. But setting that aside, you now found yourself in a world where the dominant species were the humans. At least that was probably the case in whatever city or land you currently found yourself in. Perhaps things were different elsewhere, but you didn't have enough information to go off yet. This wasn't ideal, for more reasons than one, but the biggest one being that the scent was practically overwhelming. Oh no. Everywhere you walk or turn, you seem to bump into yet another human. It hadn't been very long since you last had blood, which was fortunately a relief, but it was clear that this was going to take a lot of getting used to. You couldn't very well just lunge at someone without warning. After all, the whole reason behind your banishment was that you were meant to get your bloodthirst under control. Did vampires even exist in this world? You had no way of knowing. It would be somewhat comforting if they did. You still needed to figure out your living situation after all. God, and you didn't even know where to start. You lifted your head to the sky, squinting through the sunlight. Contrary to most vampires, you didn't mind the sun all that much. Depending on the individual, their sensitivity to sunlight varied. Your parents and grandparents didn't much care for it and preferred to avoid it as much as possible. This was the case for some of your other relatives as well. Fortunately, you have always been sturdy, even for a vampire. You would probably fine for the most part, although prolonged exposure sometimes had a tendency to make you rather sluggish. Well, even if you're not a vampire, if you stay too much on the sun, you get burned. You get sunburns. So, just think. Either way, finding a place to live took precedence. You need to figure out exactly how you were meant to survive here. All you could really do was wander around aimlessly. There was certainly a lot of chatter. It was practically constant. It didn't seem like you were having any trouble understanding the language, however, even though it was almost certainly different from your native tongue. Then again, vampires were prone to assimilate information rather quickly. Hearing it for the first time had already burrowed its way into your brain. Or perhaps this was some sort of side effect on the transportation spell that had brought you here in the first place. All the better, though. The last thing you needed right now was to fail pathetically at any attempt of communication. You walked and walked, doing your best not to let yourself get too overwhelmed. These humans were certainly different than the ones you were used to, though. Oh, their appearance varied quite significantly. Sig- sig- I don't know how to talk now. And there's a helicopter passing through my house. I don't know if you heard it. Probably not. Their appearance varied quite significantly, and some of them even appeared to be some sort of mix between person and beast. They were still humans, though. Their scent confirmed that. It was truly strange. Those are the heteromorph quirks. Anyway, on top of all, L. On top of all that was the fact that there was so much you didn't recognize about the place you found yourself in. Nearly everywhere you looked, there was some strange type of technology that you couldn't seem to wrap your head around. Almost every single human was carrying some sort of handheld device that they would talk into and repeatedly tap on their screen with their fingers. Was it a magical device of some kind? You caught a glimpse walking past a few people, and the device was displaying all sort of complex images and moving pictures. It almost looked like other humans were trapped inside of those devices. Sorry, I was getting a better position. I was being a shrimp. I was in a shrimp pose, and my back hurt. Anyway, let's continue. You really had nothing to guide you as things stood, so all you could really do was marvel every time you saw something new. John hinged. Then all of a sudden, you heard a screaming. Stop that man! He's stolen my purse! It was some elderly woman who'd been knocked to the ground. Tears struck her expression, and she kept on crying out as she pointed off in the distance towards a man who was running full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. And presumably carrying the stolen purse. He was a rotten thief, it seems like. No world was free of crime, and it went without saying that would hold true of this place as well. You had done a bad thing to land yourself here. You've lost control and gravely injured someone who was very dear to you. No, even if they hadn't been your friend, you still shouldn't have allowed yourself to take things too far. You were being punished, and rightfully so. But if you were going to be stuck here, meant to reflect your wrongdoings and take steps toward fixing them, then you could probably start by doing a good deed. So you ran after the thief. You were physically strong and athletic. Even the weakest vampires were still stronger than the average human. Although the man was sprinting with all his strength, you managed to catch up to him in almost no time flat. His brows jumped when he noticed you appeared next to him. The hell did you want? He snapped angrily. Are you a hero or what? You weren't quite sure what he was getting at, but before you could even begin to construct a response, he lifted a hand and clawed at you, as in quite literally, clawed. His nails, which had been perfectly trimmed and normal a few moments ago, suddenly turned sharp as knives. He slashed right at you, and since you were so caught off guard, you couldn't evade the attack completely. He was able to slide across your shoulder, making your skin split and blood soak through the fabric of your sleeve. Ouch! It certainly hurt. You were strong, but that didn't make you immune to pain by any means. Still, you didn't allow yourself to be deterred. This man was committing a crime, and after all the horrible things you've done, the least you could do was follow through and stop and put a stop at that and put a stop to it. Gritting your teeth at him and resisting the urge to bite into his neck, you clenched your hand into a fist. You punched him, and it hit hard enough to knock him on the ground. He was clearly dumbstruck. In his momentary confusion, his nail turned back to normal, and you took advantage of his confusion to land a kick that plumped him against the ground even harder. He was unconscious. He was unconscious now, so you grabbed the purse from his loosened grip and slung it across your uninjured shoulder. Then you made way, then you made your way back towards the elderly woman that it belonged to, ignoring the wide-eyed looks everyone else was giving you. just just imagine you're passing through like a normal day, you're going back to your home and then you see a 14-year-old punch man make him unconscious, take a purse and walk normally away. That's a way to start your weekend. Oh my gosh. Here you here. Here you are, you said, smiling at her. Even you were surprised but how natural you sound speaking in this foreign tongue. You placed the purse into her hands, waiting patiently to make sure she wasn't hurt. She stood up and shaky legs, but returned your smile. Oh goodness. Thank you, dear. But you're hurt. You're bleeding quite a lot. Are you all right? You should go to the hospital immediately. I'm fine, you were sure. It was the truth. Sure, you were injured, but your body's natural regenerative abilities were impressive. With a bit of time, it would heal up as good as new. It was a relatively shallow wound after all. People were still staring at you, which you suppose was to be expected, considering you just beat the crap out of someone. But instead of being met with judgmental looks or visible nervousness, they broke out into cheers. Good job, miss! That was so cool! You're stronger than you look, huh? Are you training to become a hero? With that power, you totally could. They kept mentioning heroes. Was it some sort of profession in this world? As in, a person who fought for justice against no good criminals like the one you just apprehended? If so, then perhaps that was literally the sort of thing you would have devoted yourself to. Protecting others would be the perfect way to prove your family that you were worthy of being accepted back into the family. So you smiled towards the crowd. I haven't given it much thought, but becoming a hero sounds nice. I'll have to look into it. You left before they could ask any other questions. It was nice to have a goal, and you would certainly do a bit much. Oh, sorry. And you would certainly do a bit more research regarding this, but your number one concern still hadn't been addressed. You needed to find a place to live, and that also meant at some point you would have to consume blood in order to fend off starvation. You carefully rub at your bloody shoulder, wincing a bit from the pain. At the very least, you should probably wrap it up in bandage or something. You will need to find some sort of basic first aid. Then again, you had no money. You didn't even know the currency this world used. No closer to addressing your most pressing issue than you've been earlier, you decided that there was nothing you stood to lose if you keep on walking. Perhaps this hero profession that everyone keeps gushing about pay well too. If so, you could obtain the money that you needed to secure the roof above your head. You wonder if it was the sort of thing you could sign up for immediately. Ha! You thought! For a while, you were lost in thought. You considered stopping some random person on the street and inquiring more about the job. Or maybe you should have stuck around a bit longer and had a proper conversation with those people that had watched you take down a thief. But before you could properly deliberate your options, you stopped dead in your tracks. There was a scent. Someone close nearby smelled absolutely amazing. It's going to be the protagonist. It's going to be Suki fucking Midoriya. I'm calling it. You knew this was really you knew this was really the last thing you should have been worrying about right now. Your family had kicked you out in order to fix your bloodthirst. Yet here you were again, already acting on it. I'm not going to drink their blood or anything. I'm just curious. That's all. Sorry. That's all. Yeah, I just want to see with my own eyes. Who could possibly smell that good? You clearly had a long way to go before getting your problems under control, because you were practically salivating as you searched into the direction of the sugary scent, sweet scent. It was easily the most delicious smelling blood you've ever happened upon. Was this common theme with the humans of this world? If so, then, yeah, your willpower was definitely going to be put to the test. As it turned out, the person who caught your attention was a young boy with a curly hair and cutely freckled cheeks. Of course. He looked to be about your age, probably a teenager. He was also reading from some sort of notebook as he walked and quietly muttering to himself, so lost in thought that he was completely disregarding his surroundings. Needless to say, he walked right into a pole. Ha! Everybody laughed at him. Oh, the boy whined, curling his forehead, which already had an angry pink blemish forming. He shook it off quickly enough, though, and he clearly hadn't learned from what had just happened, because he buried his nose in the notebook again, right away. It was a funny thing to see, and also rather cute. Your interest has been piqued, not only by his blood, which had so entranced you, but his endearing mannerism as well. You figure you had nothing to lose by striking up a conversation with him. Um, excuse me? The boy must not have realized you were talking to him, because he just kept on walking and muttering things to himself. Chuckling inward, you decided to walk next to him and see how long it took him to notice you. It actually took quite a while before his eyes momentarily drifted from the pages of his notebook, and only then did he realize you were walking shoulder to shoulder with him. I mean, that's a way to get their attention. Not one I recommended, but do yourself. He squealed, jumping back as he seen the ghost. Oh, um, sorry about that. He hastily apologized. His cheeks were fiercely red for some reason. I didn't realize I was getting your way. I must not have been paying attention. You merely smiled. No need to apologize. You weren't getting in my way at all. I'm the one who decided to walk next to you. Huh? Oh, he appeared confused, but his confusion was quickly replaced with concern once his green eyes lighted on your injury. You're bleeding! He spluttered frantically. Oh no, what happened? It looks like it hurts a lot. Are you feeling dizzy or anything? Are you sure you're okay to walk on your own? This is nothing, you wave up. I fought with some thief earlier that had stolen a lady's purse. He managed to take me by surprise and cut me up a bit. That's all. You fought with a villain? His concern was still there. There was for sure. That was for sure. But some of it had melted away, and his expression was now proudly made up of awe. He was using another term you weren't used to hearing so casually. Heroes and villains. Perhaps that's how this world classified good people versus the bad? Criminals were just criminals, but you suppose they could certainly be described as wrongdoers or villains as well? I guess so. You sure? The boy was now beaming at you unabashed. Wow! He grinned momentarily, overcoming his seemingly timid nature. That's incredible! You look like you're around my age, but you're already taking on villains like no problem? You must be planning on becoming a hero, right? Right. That was something you wanted to ask about anyways. Can I become a hero right away? You asked. I kind of need the money. Oh my gosh, you and me, honey. You and me are the same. His shoulders slumped a bit. Huh? Oh, not exactly. You need to train for a while and pass some exams to obtain your professional license. I'm surprised you don't know that, though. Most people that want to become heroes are pretty familiar with what needs to be done. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? I'm 14. Ah, we're the same age. He paused for a moment, the blush from early quickly returning. Sorry, I just started bombarding with questions out of nowhere. You're hurt, so you probably need to be getting home to deal with that. Or maybe even the hospital? It's bleeding quite a bit. You scratch your head. Yeah, that won't work. Huh? Why not? I don't have a home. You don't. What? I'm homeless. Oh my gosh. Ah! You said it simply. I'm homeless. His eyes bulged off his head. Homeless? But he looked you over up and down, and you realized quickly enough that what the problem was. You didn't look homeless because you were still wearing the dress you arrived in. Technically, you were royalty, although you'd been officially stripped from the title for now. But your attire must have given off the impression of someone who was rather wealthy, even though what you were saying was the truth. For now, you were homeless. I came from another world. You decided upon. It was the truth. Yet again, although clearly not easy to process, if the bewildered look he gave you was anything to go off, he lifted up his hand in protest. Sorry, he blinked. I'm not good at picking up on blah, blah. I'm not good at picking up on sarcasm or when people are making jokes. Is this some sort of reference that I'm just not getting, or yeah, you figure it out. You figured it wouldn't be easy. Officially, you didn't feel the need to hide your unique circumstances, but getting people to believe you was a different matter. Altogether, altogether. How else you how else could you explain yourself though? You were a 14-year-old girl dressed head to toe in luxurious clothes, but you didn't have a home to return to. Not only that, but you weren't human like him or the rest of the people in this world. Even though the boy was struggling to make head or tails of what you were saying, you decided to press on. You weren't sure you weren't sure why exactly, but you had a good feeling about him. The frantic look in his eyes when he realized you were hurt, his innocent reaction at just about anything, and on top of that, his sweet smelling blood. Sometimes someone's scent was enough to give you insight as what kind of persons they were. Oh wow, now that's a vampire. He had a sweet, gentle fragrance, and you imagine it was that way for a reason. You have chucked. I'm sure it's hard to believe, but I'm not making things up. I really did come from a different world. Or I was kicked out of it, more specifically. And now I've got no place to go. That's why I'm homeless. My family banished me here, and I have no idea what to do. Oh my god. The boy's the boy's eyes were gradually softening. Whether he believed you or simply felt sorry for you you were because he felt you were making up some grandiose lie, you couldn't tell. But you knew that his concern was genuine. That was much clear. Um, okay, he swallowed. Do you need someone to talk to? This is a lot to take in, but you seem pretty serious. That would be great, you grinned. If you had the time to spare, I'd really appreciate it. There's so much about this world that I just don't understand. An explanation would really help. I'm Athena, by the way. What can I call you? Oh, Midoriya Izuku, he replied, still looking a touch uncertain. You're giving me your full name? Which is your first name and which is your last? Uh, Izuku is my first name, and Midoriya is my last name. He narrowed his eyes slightly. You really aren't from here, are you? At the very least, it doesn't seem like you're from Japan. Japan? What's that? Izuku looked like his head was spinning based on how candidly you were asking your question. It was probably starting to dawn on him that you really didn't have a damn clue as to where you were. But that was another problem too. For some reason, you were starting to feel awfully faint. Normally, a small injury like this wouldn't have been enough to give you such a hard time, but you were growing weaker by the second. Something was wrong. Oh no. Is it because it's an unfamiliar environment? It feels like all my strength is leaving me. Shit. My entire body is starting to burn up. Athena, are you okay? You were even starting to stagger in place. No matter how hard you tried to fight it, you were overcome by a sensation of being weak and helpless. It wasn't a complete foreign feeling. You felt it before, countless times, as a matter of fact. This weakness, you needed to feed. Oh no! Izuku, you mumbled, lightly grabbing into his shoulder. Hey, so I know we only just met and all, but would you mind letting me drink some of your blood? Izuku's face turned pale. Huh? Oh my goodness. This is so fucked. Okay, chapter 2. First bite. That's a good name. This is a good start. Oh my god. Izuku's big green eyes were wide and trembling. He looked appalled, and somewhat horrified as well. Although you suppose that was only natural, considering what you just asked him. In a human-dominated world, such as this one, someone like you was an obvious anomaly. Still, you weren't feeling well right now, for far from it, as a matter of fact. This suddenness of your being brought into a different realm was clearly having an advanced effect on your body. You couldn't remember the last time you felt such a dizzying wave of hunger before. If you didn't consume some blood, and soon, things were going to get ugly. You swallow hard, trying to not scare him too much. I can understand why you'd be shocked. I've been catching you off guard with so many different things, but um, you see, I'm actually a vampire. I need to drink blood in order to survive, and I'm feeling super weak all of a sudden. Cue the silence. He wasn't speaking at all. Actually, it was more accurate to say that he couldn't speak. What what with the way his mouth was flat frozen from shock. His reaction was enough to tell you that vampires definitely weren't commonplace in this world, unlike what you've been hoping for. B- Vampire? Izuku blinked, still trying to wrap his head around your words. This is all just. Uh, I'm sorry, but I don't know what to think. By vampire, you mean those supernatural beings that drink blood from humans? Ah, so you have heard of us? Only in book and movies, not in real life. Well, it looks as though that maybe fiction in this world is actually reality in another. When you think about it, having multiple worlds in the first place is already crazy enough. Before I was cast away, I hadn't even considered the possibility. As much as you would have loved to sit down and have a proper conversation explaining the details of your situation, you could feel yourself growing weaker by the second. At first, it was just your body felt hot and you were rather dizzy, but your stomach was starting to have painful pangs, and the cut of your shoulder was throbbing uncontrollably. You hadn't realized just how much strain this change would place on your body. Fuck. You felt like you might go insane. I'm sorry for frightening you. For frightening you. You managed quickly. This was bad. This was really, really bad. If Izuku didn't agree to give you some of his blood, you were afraid that in your desperation, you might just launch straight at him. The whole purpose of you being here was so that you could learn to control yourself. But how could you do that under these circumstances? Your body felt it was being ripped apart from you from the inside. Even your brain was starting to turn to mush. Izuku now looked visibly concerned, although it could have been that your vision was starting to fail you. Either way, it seems like he was beginning to take your words much more seriously. The way you kept on gasping for breath and clenching into your shoulder probably had something to do with it. Are you telling the truth? He asked quietly. If you're telling me the truth, and you need to do this, otherwise you won't survive, then I don't mind giving you my blood. Ah! You gave him a look of disbelief. He actually believed you? If vampires truly didn't exist in this world, then he really had no reason to. You imagine that most people would have probably shrugged you off, assuming that you were putting on some over dramatic performance for whatever reason? Maybe they would have even thought you were insane. But no, it's not Izuku. You could tell by the way he was looking at you. Whether or not he was truly convinced by your words, it seems like in this moment, the only thing that he was interested was in helping to ease your pain. Ah! Sweet Izuku always helping people in every fanfic, even if it's a villain. AU. Mm. Well, that's a lie. Even if it was a villain AU, Izuku's always helping. Ah, he wanted to save you. That was what that was what his eyes seemed to convey. If you really don't mind, then please. You nodded. Beds of cold sweat had begun to form across your forehead. You were on the verge of passing out if you didn't drink any blood soon. And now that you were in the foreign land, you feared to discover just how dire the consequences would be. Izuku glanced around, then gestured for you to follow him. Let's maybe go somewhere a bit more private, he offered. If you think you're able to make it a bit further. Ah, no! That was probably for the best. Drawing needless attention to yourself wouldn't do any favors, and you were clearly certain that most people would be flabbergasted and probably horrified if they saw what you were about to do. Steeling yourself against the pain, you followed Izuku and headed for a more secluded area. He kept on glancing over at you nervously the whole time, checking in to make sure you were still okay. Well, you weren't really okay, but relief was only a short while away, so you told yourself to hold on just a bit longer. Finally, you seemed to reach a good spot, a small alleyway behind a rather shoddy looking building. You hope its poor condition meant that most people wouldn't come this way. Izuku looked nervous, and you couldn't really blame him. So, he said, twiddling his thumbs. How exactly do we do this? The neck, you said slowly impatiently. It's the easiest spot for me to bite into. But if you're too scared, I could use your arm instead. Actually, maybe it's a better way. It'll be easier for you to push me back if you need to. Why would I need to push you back? Because because I might not be able to stop myself. You didn't voice that last part out loud. As guilty as you felt about it, there was no point in scaring Izuku off, especially since it wouldn't change your predicament in the slightest. If he got too frightened and ran off, you would have just find some other poor person to feed on. And unlike with Izuku, you doubted they would go along so willingly. You also didn't exactly have the luxury on time on your side. The longer you waited, the weaker you became and the more ravenous you felt. The worst case scenario would be if you lost control of yourself and started attacking people indiscriminately. After all, your family wouldn't be here to stop you this time. Never mind, you said with a shake of your head. But if you're sure you want to do this, then please roll up your sleeve and stick your arm out. Izuku nodded hastily and did just that. He exposed his forearm, which was practically blemish free. A small dusting of freckles streamed across certain areas. Even though hardly anything had changed, you could feel your heart beating a bit faster. He smelled way too good. If this was how good he smelled, you could only imagine how much better he would taste. It was a challenge, but you forced yourself to get a grip. You never wanted a repeat. You never wanted a repeat of what had happened with your friend. You never wanted to hurt someone like that ever again. Fingers shaking a bit, you carefully grabbed Izuku's arm and lifted it towards your mouth. You were both quite nervous. It looked like, but each for the opposite reasons. Izuku's was for fear of getting hurt, and yours was for fear of hurting him. But there was no way around it. You weren't about to roll over and die after being in this new world for less than a day. imagine, imagine dying on the first date. That's a loser. You parted your lips and unhinged your jaw. Izuku let out a little gasp when he saw the way your teeth sharpened. Your canines turned into pointed fangs, and he didn't. if he didn't believe you to begin with, it looked like he was definitely starting to now. This is going to hurt quite a bit, you warned him. You felt it was only fair for him to prepare himself in advance. Izuku, however, didn't seem deterred. It's okay, he nodded. You need help. I'm going to help you. Without giving him another chance to second guess his decision, you sank your fangs into the skin near his wrist. As expected, he let out a hiss and sucked in a breath of air to keep him from screaming. All things considered, he was taking it surprisingly well. Most people who weren't used to having their blood sucked tend to panic quite a bit in the first time. But honestly, you were too distracted to marvel in his bravery right now. Just as you surmised, his blood really was beyond your expectations. Different humans tend to have different tastes. Like with everything else in life, there was a certain amount of priority you could expect. That being said, you've tasted plenty of delicious blood before. Even so, Izuku's was easily the best. You slurred from his skin greedily, relieved to feel your strength coming back to you almost at once. Every so often, Izuku would shrug up his nose and shudder. His eyes were squeezed shut, probably because he was too scared to actually watch what was happening. That was fine, though. He was already being more than generous towards you, and for a human who'd only just found out that vampires actually exist, his courage was truly admirable. It was like you died and gone to heaven, if there was really such a place, assuming vampires were allowed to heaven anyways. The point was that you never tasted anything so delicious before in your entire life, and you wanted to keep gorging yourself in his blood for the rest of eternity if you could. Alas, you couldn't. It was hard, really hard, but you forced yourself to pull away. Izuku's blood was intoxicating, but you needed to learn from your mistakes. You couldn't harm the person who risked his own well-being just to try and help you. Gaslit, gaslit, you wiped the back of your hand across your mouth, cleaning any blood that's still lingered on your lips. Hold on, you said. Izuku finally worked up the nerve to open his eyes again and get a proper look at you. He paused for a moment, looking a bit uncertain before finally gazing down near his wrist, where he noticed that two puncture marks from your fangs had left behind. You you really drank my blood, he marveled, lightly pressing near his wounds. They were definitely tender, so he hints a bit when he applied too much force. A touch too much force. Thank you so much. You sighed heavily. I'm feeling a lot better now. I made sure not to take too much blood from you, but how is it? Are you feeling lightheaded or anything like that? Does it still hurt a lot even though I've stopped? Izuku shook his head. No, I'm okay. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but I could definitely feel that you were sucking my blood out. It's not a sensation I ever thought I would experience. That's much is for sure. You're amazing, Izuku. You let me suck your blood even though you must have been so scared. It's nothing special, he blurted. His face has turned red again. You figure it had less to do with you by sucking his blood and more of the fact that you've complimented him. You weren't looking so good either. I don't know how to read. You weren't looking so good earlier, but it seems like this that 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 you weren't looking so good earlier, but it seems like that changed for the better now. I'm so relieved. He smiled. That means it was it. Ah! That means I was able to make a difference, right? Although you only just met, it was already abundantly clear that he was a good guy. You grinned back at him. Back in my world, even the humans that are used to having their blood sucked still get a bit scared from time to time. But you took it like a champ, even though you didn't know what to expect. You really are incredible. You need to There's no need to be embarrassed. Being brave is something to take pride in. If you say so, Izuku spluttered nervously. He didn't seem to handle praise as well. Perhaps he wasn't used to hear it? If that was the case, then you have to do your best to fix that. But seriously, what a relief. I felt like I was going to die if I didn't drink any blood right away. The reality was that you very well could have died. Oh, that's good to know. There was no one here to look after you. Even though this punishment seemed quite cruel, you knew that you'd only end up in this position thanks to your negligence. A life was a life, like your parents had said. You needed to never take it for granted ever again. Although the momentary silence was unsettling, Izuku still felt the need to chime in. Um, so are you okay now, Athena? Yes, I'm as good as new. You've been thrilling a place for emphasis. I'm glad to hear that. But what are you going to do next? You said you don't have a place to live, right? Because your family sent you here? Right. Even though the emergency had been dealt with, you were still pretty royally screwed. You nodded somberly. Yeah, I did something to really upset them, but they told me I'm not allowed to come home until I've taken this time to reflect on my mistake and mature a bit. Still, a whole different world? Izuku gasped. That's way too severe of a punishment, no matter what. How could you How could your parents do that to you? What exactly did you do that made them so angry? You swallowed. Honestly, you were hesitant to reveal the exact reason behind your banishment. Izuku had been nothing but kind to you, but if he found out what you've done, he might leave you behind and never look back. I don't want to say, you admitted, casting your head to the ground. I'm sorry. Just not right away. Maybe once you get to know me a bit better? Izuku looked surprised at first, but he quickly shook his head. No, I shouldn't have tried to pry in the first place, he reassured. It sounds like you've been through a lot through the It sounds like you've been already through a lot already. I can't imagine what I've I can't imagine what I would do if I was in your place. Sorry for pressuring you for an answer. There's no reason to apologize. It's only natural to be curious. You really were fortunate to have run into Izuku. For once, acting on your bloodthirst had proven to be the right call. Still, you were very much in a sticky situation. This is incredibly shameless of me. You started clenching your hands into fists and swallowing your embarrassment. But is there any way I might be able to stay with you for a little while? As of now, you're the only one who knows that I'm a vampire from a different world. I just, I'm just really lost and afraid. But you've been so nice to me and even helped me, just for a little while, just long enough to for me to figure out what to do next. Would that be okay? Of course it wasn't okay. You couldn't believe that you were even daring to impose on him like this. But you weren't lying about being scared. Just because you were strong didn't mean you didn't get nervous or doubt yourself. You were only 14 years old, apart from your family, that for the very first time, literally, worlds apart. You were far from perfect. You knew that. You hoped that Izuku might be willing to put up with you a little longer. Okay, you blinked. Wait, what did he just say? It wasn't just the fact that he said it, it was the way he said it, with little no hesitation whatsoever. Izuku smiled shyly. You need help, and I'm happy that you think I might be able to lend a hand. Normally, I would suggest going for the heroes for something serious like this, but your situation is. Is that an ambulance? Sorry, there was an ambulance passing through. Oh no, there's there goes Izuku. Athena didn't control her bloodthirst. Okay, it's gone, sorry. You need help, and I'm happy that you think I might be able to lend a hand. Normally, I would suggest going to the heroes for something serious like this, but your situation is definitely unique, so I can understand why you'd be scared when you don't know anything about this place. We can figure out a solution together, alright? He's so pure! Tears well up on your tears well up in your eyes. You couldn't help it. He was he wasn't just a good guy. He was an absolute angel. Yes, he is. My hero. You couldn't help but cry out, throwing yourself over him and giving him a big hug. Oh, thank you so much. This means more to me than you'll ever know. I promise that no matter what I have to do, I'll find a way to repay you somehow. Izuku let out a noise that was somewhere in between a squeak and a gasp. He didn't try to push you up as you squeezed your arms around him. Actually, his face was so red that it looked like he was about to start blowing steam from his ears. So you figure he was frozen stiff from shock. At the risk of sending him into cardiac arrest, you decided you should probably pull away and give him some space. Sorry about that. You apologized sheepishly. I got a bit too excited there. Izuku's cheeks were still aflush and he was staring at you with some sort of daze. Hero, he mumbled. Hmm? You just call me your hero. He swallowed, suddenly looking he was as though he was about to cry tears of joy. Because you are, you encouraged happily. You're saving me big time. It's just no one ever said that to me before. Not a single person. Wow, so I guess that makes me the first. Yeah. He let out a giggle, and you could have sworn your heart skipped a beat. He was grinning ear to ear now. You're the first, Athena. Oh my gosh. Something told you that despite being banished, this world has plenty of bright moments in store for you. Okay. Oh my goodness. Uh, this is getting. The memories are getting back to me. Oh God. But I think this. I'm going to leave this here just in case it doesn't save. I'm going to put that we end up on the third chapter. No, we're going to continue in the third chapter next week. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was an interesting story and, and an interesting concept. Like I've I have read a lot of fan fiction, but I've never like thought this maybe could be like something like like a supernatural being going through the world of My Hero Academia. That's nuts. So, anyways, I'm going to stop this now. Thank you for watching this. If you're watching this, if you like this content and want to be on a, how do you say this? If you're going to be reacting live with me, I'll be having the streams every week. So every Tuesday, I don't know the time. So I'll just be posting the streams. Anyways, thank you for your support. Again, if you want to keep reading to know what's happening to Athena, the vampire, in the My Hero Academia world, I'll be leaving the link in the description and the author's link page. So, yeah, this was all for me. Thank you again, and we will be seeing ourselves in the future. Also, there is my other series I'm doing, which is another way for me to cope. That what would happen if I was in My Hero Academia. I will be posting the next chapter soon. So yeah, again, thank you so much for being here, and I'll be seeing you in the next time. So this is the goodbye. Bye.